Welcome to the Wellness Real Estate Podcast. And today you are in for a treat because we're going to discuss a subject that is not often talked about. And when these things are not fully understood, they can lead to closings falling out or even worse. And since this podcast is about wellness, I wanted to bring you some insights that will help with your mental wellness so that you can have less stress during a transaction, feel better like you're guiding someone through a transaction, setting their expectations and making it as seamless as possible. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about disclosures, specifically natural hazard disclosures. And I have Glennis Dawson on the show, and she's an active agent in the San Diego County area, as well as being a rep for My NHD, which is natural hazard disclosure. And she educates agents all around the county to be better prepared so that you can get out ahead of things. So you don't put yourself in a situation where there's unnecessary stress created that could be avoided. So get ready, stay tuned. This is going to be a good one. Welcome to the Wellness Real Estate Podcast, where you'll discover a groundbreaking strategy that is transforming real estate marketing. In every episode, we focus on topics that will help you have more authentic engagements and meaningful conversations about your business. As the wellness real estate impact grows, with projections reaching $850 billion by 2027, don't miss this opportunity to revolutionize your approach, generate more leads, and increase sales, becoming the community connector you're meant to be. I'm Sheila Alston, and I'm your host. I'm also the founder of Healthy Home Media, where I help agents all over the country leverage this new trend in the industry to spark new conversations that get people to listen to you and notice your brand. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels without the consistent leads or sales to show for it, then stay tuned. This podcast is your guide to standing out in a rapidly evolving market, guaranteed to change the way you think about real estate marketing. Hi, Glennis. I'm so excited to have you here. This is a subject that, people don't often talk about, but I know it can make a big difference in whether or not a closing is going to happen or not. So I'm excited to learn more. Tell us about what is My NHD and, how are you educating agents on this?
Hi, Sheila. Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it. So, I have been a licensed agent for 20 years in the industry, and I love to go to different brokerages and talk about natural hazard disclosure. And because we live in California, and we have a lot of wildfires and floods and all kinds of fun stuff going on in a transaction. And so I try and go into the offices and talk about that, so agents have a better understanding. So when they sit down with their clients, they can have the conversation. Is your property located in a fire zone? Is it located in a flood zone? How does that affect insurability? What do we need to do to potentially mitigate any potential issues on this property? Is it AB 38 compliant? So that's a little bit about what I do.
Well, most people, I know when I was an agent, I wasn't an agent for as long as you were, but I know that as a newer agent, when I was doing that it was kind of like, okay, these are disclosures. They're just kind of information that they need to know. I didn't realize that you could get out ahead of things and how it could help you. And when we were talking earlier, you were telling me an example of a client that had something fall through because they didn't realize how much insurance was going to cost. So maybe you can touch on that example first so people can get an idea of what can go wrong.
Exactly. Good point. Yes. So we try and be proactive. When you take a listing, it's great we have an app. My NHD is the company I work for, and we have an app that you can put in the property address, and in moments you can find out if that property is located in a fire or a flood zone, which then can have a conversation with your seller. Okay, we know that the property is located in a fire zone. So per AB 38, which passed in January 1st, 2021, that means that the property now has to have a defensible space inspection. Now, whether or not the seller wants to do that up front, or if they want to negotiate that in escrow and put that on the buyer, that's between buyer and seller. Mm-hmm. But what I do then is make sure the agents know that then they're going to have their seller fill out the FHDS form. And how they fill that out. It's broken down into 3 sections in the defensible space, home hardening, and who's going to be responsible. So then we can walk the agents through how to properly kind of guide their clients on how to fill out that form.
Okay. And so in the example that you had told me before, someone didn't do that and they were representing the buyer, right? And then the
Right.
buyer was like
Yes.
good about to close, and then they found out that it was in a fire zone from the disclosures, and they called the insurance
Correct.
company, and it was like crazy insurance.
$8,000.
Yeah.
Yes. And so what I tell agents that are representing buyers now, when they're taking their buyers out, they again can utilize the app and say, we've got 5 properties today we're looking at. My client really loves this one. Let's check and see if it's in a fire zone before we write the offer, because now we can have a conversation with our insurance broker and see if this property is insurable and how much that would probably cost, because some of those first time buyers, like the one that fell out of escrow that was $8,000, now he couldn't afford to purchase that property, so they had to cancel escrow.
Right. And such a bummer, right? Because they could have gotten out ahead of it and just maybe made that part of the negotiation instead. Do you find that people
Yes.
get scared of buying homes that are in a flood or fire zone, or is it just information they need to know so that they can make sure they're managing the space around it, or it's
I
just
think
extra
the
information?
latter.
Yeah.
The latter. I don't really think they are scared. They just want to um, have more information. They may be a little concerned at first until they get um, all the facts, and
Right.
so, and that's again why I love going out to the different brokerages and talking to the agents, so then they can have the conversations with their clients as well.
Well, and just think about how much value you're providing those people if you are guiding them right towards the transaction, and you say, these are steps we need to take ahead of time so that you're not thrown this, curveball at the end and everybody's disappointed, or you have to fork out more money that you weren't expecting just to get this house, right? Or what if, I mean, is
Correct.
there scenarios? I've heard rumors that like certain, you can't get insurance for homes that are in fire zones. And
Yes,
that can't be true. You
there.
should be able to get insurance. It's just probably super expensive. Is that what they mean?
Yes, or you have to go through the state's program, because insurance companies like State Farm and other companies are not writing new policies for properties that are located in fire zones. So that's why this is so important to be proactive for our mental health,
Yeah.
and to get this information up front to arm your buyers, and so they're aware of the situation. And when you take a listing, so the seller is aware that they're going to have to go through this process, or they're going to have to be as transparent as possible and disclose any information that they have regarding the property. Some properties are subject to local vegetation where they have to clear the brush around the property.
Mhm.
So this is all really great information to provide to a prospective buyer.
Well, and it's all just for their safety, but just like in any transactional relationship you have with someone, it's always about managing expectations if you want it to be smooth, right? So if they go in thinking, oh, this is such a breeze, it's so easy, and then just lay this on them at the last minute, and if it could have been something that was sent,
Right.
setting expectations, this is what's going to happen, you wouldn't have that added stress on both sides, right? So you definitely want to do
Yes.
these things because there's so many triggers that can make a transaction really stressful, and that's just not great for our mental health, our clients' mental health. You want them to have a good experience, you want to have a good experience. So I love that you're going around educating agents on this. And tell us more about that app, because when we were talking earlier, you said there's a lot of disclosure companies, but you guys are the only ones that have this app.
Yes, thank you. We really felt like there was a need for this to provide, great service for our clients. And in this space now where fire zones and flood zones are such an a topic on each transaction, that our company really kind of took the initiative and created this web-based app. It's called myhascheck.com, and that's HAZ, myhascheck.com. and you can download it on your phone and just sign up for an account if you don't already have one. And then anytime you are taking a listing or writing an offer, literally you can just pop in the property address. And then there's two big buttons. One says check flood and the other says check fire. Because, if you're in coastal communities, those could be in a flood zone. If you're down in the high desert in Palm Springs, there's areas that are in flood zones. So you really want to make sure that, you are checking that information up front. And so
Yeah,
that makes it's a really easy tool.
right. And then when you get your homeowner's insurance, I don't even know the answer to this, but do they come with flood insurance or is that an optional coverage you have to get? I wonder.
That I'm not sure since I'm not an insurance
Yeah.
broker, but that's why we usually refer the clients to the insurance brokers so
Hmm.
they can let them know what coverage is available and what cost that would be.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's so good. So now what about people that are not in California? Because this your company is just in Southern California or all of California, or does it go beyond California?
Well, our company is, sorry, I'm just going to look at my notes real quick here
Yeah.
for this. Um, our company is in California, but we are branching out to different states and Canada as well. And so in California, a natural hazard zone report is required on every residential transaction, 1 to 4 units. But we also have some information in regards to national. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you this information real quick. That there is a report that is in every state, and each state is different depending on what natural hazard requirements they have, like from hurricanes to tornadoes to sinkholes to expansive soils. So that's why it's important to have that natural hazard disclosure report. Some states do require that you disclose let's see, like airplane flight paths. And let's see, there's one other one here. Sorry, bear with me.
That's okay.
There is something called Superfund sites, which are cleanup sites in certain states. I'm not familiar with them, but they are enough of a concern that the government wants those to be disclosed on the reports. Some reports also require radon. So it just depends on which state, but these reports are very important for prospective buyers when they're looking to purchase a property. Yes.
Yeah, and I know in California, when you even just create the offer letter, you have to select, which disclosure forms you want. And sometimes I know when,
Yes.
the broker I was with, some of them kind of auto-populate and you don't even know which one to pick. And so it's good that, if you're asking questions, because there are, I know with the companies that we had 2 or 3 to choose from. And so what do you have to say? I mean, are they all disclosing the exact same information, or does your company provide a little bit different, or is it just in the way it's explained on the disclosure forms? How would you say that My NHD is different?
We're different because we pull maps in real time. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say a property has Mello-Roos.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we like to pull, as soon as we get a request for a report, we contact the Mello-Roos to make sure that the information we have is the most updated information.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it could take a little longer to get the report out to you because we are gathering that data. So we want to make sure that we're pulling everything in real time, mapping. We are the only company that has a $10 million E&O coverage, which covers all parties in the transaction, including your TCs, escrow, agents, buyer, seller. So we want to make sure that all of the information we provide to you is as updated as possible in real time. And then everything is just really easy to use, super user friendly. So if the property is located in a fire zone, I get calls on this all the time. Glennis, I can't tell if it's in a local, if it's in a high fire, a severe fire. But basically, our report will tell you right away if it's in or out. It doesn't matter at what level, it'll just say it's in a fire zone. So now you know you need to order that defensible space inspection. And we have a link, and all you have to do is click on it and order the report or order the inspection.
Wow. Okay. So then say they need this inspection. Do you know what happens during the inspection and what they need to do to satisfy the requirements for it?
Typically, someone from the local fire department will come out and inspect the property. They'll coordinate a time with the seller to come out. Some cities charge, some do not. So they all vary. And usually I would recommend booking that as soon as possible up front, because you don't want to get backlogged and then you're halfway through escrow before somebody can come out to the property and inspect it. And then they'll let you know if the property is AB 38 compliant, if it meets the regulations. And if it doesn't, then that's another negotiating point that the seller and buyer can work out on the RPA, on the FHDS form, who's responsible for what. And then once the escrow closes, if for some reason the property is not compliant and the seller has decided to put that responsibility on the buyer has a year to make that property compliant. And then the insurance company, when they come out to renew the buyer's homeowner insurance, they will also look at that. So it's very important that it gets done at
Some point.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Well, and
yeah.
the compliant piece is probably looking at brush around the house, getting rid of it, if there's limbs that are touching the house, and anything that would make it more
Exactly.
combustible.
Correct.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they don't even really want you to put stack firewood outside anymore. They would prefer stone rather than mulch around the perimeter of the property. No overhanging trees over the roof line. They would prefer dual pane windows versus single pane. So there's all this information, and I have slides and little FAQs and all kinds of cute marketing pieces that I can send out to agents that they can provide to their clients.
Well, and this can be a topic that agents can educate people on in their social media, or they can write a blog post about it, just because I think most consumers don't know. And then it positions you as the local expert, right? That's looking out for them and being the guide. Wow.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I think this is awesome. If someone has more questions, definitely if you're in the Southern California area, reach out to Glennis. But do you want people to reach out to you if they are not in California, or do you have someone you could point them to if they're just listening to this outside of California?
Yes, sorry to interrupt. I could
Okay.
totally have them call me, and I can give them the correct information if they're looking for. I'm in San Diego County. I've been a local agent here, like I said, in the industry for 20 years. And so I also represent our coastal communities here in San Diego County. But they can contact me if they have any questions, and I can also direct them to the representatives in their area.
Okay, great. So when you do educate these agents and you go to the broker's offices and things, what's the one piece of advice that you say, just do this and it makes everything so much easier?
Definitely utilizing the app and checking up front if that property is in a fire or flood zone. That just saves so much time and energy. Yeah.
Great. Well, I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show. You've just saved so many agents some of their mental stress, I think. I appreciate that, and I appreciate
Sheila.
you.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Thanks so much.
Okay, before we go, how do they connect with you?
Yes. Oh, my phone number is 760-208-5347, and it's Glennis at mynhd.com.
Okay, awesome. I'll put those in the show notes too, so people can reach out to
Uh,
you.
okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sheila, so much.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned something new that will inspire you to think about your branding and how you can market yourself a little differently. If you enjoyed this episode, then you're going to love what I have for you, because you don't need to wait to go get extra certifications or to grow and expand your network to get started attracting those new leads right now. You can simply begin by talking about wellness real estate trends and what you've learned on this podcast with others. I mean, this is pretty interesting stuff that no one has heard about, and I have all the tools that can make it even easier for you. Wellness Real Estate Magazine is a brand new wellness lifestyle magazine, and it's the only magazine that brings health and home together. We educate readers on industry trends and how to create a healthier home environment, written by industry experts around the country. And we have 3 covers to choose from: Wellness RE, Healthy Home, and Wellness at Home, so you can easily find one that aligns with your unique brand and messaging. These magazines are the perfect done-for-you tools that help you not only stay top of mind, but they educate and engage your audience, which positions you as an industry expert. Differentiate yourself and grow your brand the easy way. Learn more at healthyhomemedia.com.